Spirit at home. Sit down. This is the first service too. Slow it down. Alright, so I'm giving my testimony tonight. My testimony is going to be a little more different. It's going to be a little, when Jason asked me to say this too, when Jason asked me to give my testimony, he said, split up into 3 parts. Kind of like you found Jesus, like pre-baptism, like when you decide to get baptized, and then like post-baptism. And when he's told that to me, like that structure, I'm like, that does not describe my life at all. Because when I was thinking back on my life, the very first memory I have is in church. Literally, the very first memory I have in my mind is a 4th grade birthday party. It's a combined birthday party, Thomas the Tank Engine and Princess Theme. The Thomas and Princess Theme 4th grade birthday party at Smyrna Church of Christ, right outside Nashville. And we played like scavenger hunts at the church. It was awesome. And since then, my life is always surrounded by the church. My life is orbited the church. It's orbited school. And so a little background on my schooling. Like kindergarten through 12th grade, I went to Boyd Buchanan School, which is a COC private Christian school in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where my mom worked there. My dad was a youth deacon, family deacon, and then elder at my church in Chattanooga. So when I wasn't at church, I was at school. I was at a COC school, so I was surrounded by church my entire life. I was baptized in the 6th grade, May the 4th, 2014. At my church's baptistry, nothing really special there. Except the Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with it. So there's a real special day about that day. But my entire life is really revolved around the church. And because of that, my faith has struggled. And it's interesting, when I was giving my testimony in the first session, it's the complete opposite of what Josh is saying in his lesson. And I didn't realize that until like halfway through Josh's lesson. But throughout my entire life, I've served in the church. I have served on the tech team. I've served in the food ministry. I've served at school in multiple roles in the media team at school, on the service teams at school. I have done everything I can to serve. Like even in college, I'm on 3 different college ministries. I am serving in the CSC. I am serving in college life, and then I'm also serving the Walk. Like I'm on the Walk's production team at Senior Heights, even now. And that's caused a real struggle in my faith. And it's interesting because in James it says faith without works is dead. But in my life and throughout my life, I've kind of seen the opposite of that. And I've found my identity in my servanthood instead of Jesus Christ. And my identity is in how much I serve because it's caused my faith to die. Because how much I put my identity in my servanthood, I put my identity in how much my accomplishments. Like I'm an engineer. If you've ever heard the joke about mechanical engineers, it's all about me. Okay? Ever heard that joke before? ME? Because we put ourselves up on this pedestal. We try to be the best of the best, and we strive to be the best of the best. And it hurt my faith because I'm not relying on God. And one of my biggest faults growing up and growing through the church and growing out into college is relying less on me and relying less on my accomplishments. Because in my life, I have felt that if I serve more, if I just serve that extra hour, I grow that little bit closer to church. And I'm still weaning myself away from that because I'm so surrounded by the church in my life. I fill my free time with going to different college groups. I fill my life going to small group. I fill my life serving at the Walk on Sunday nights. After going to ministry, of course, you can't skip ministry. You have to go to the Walk after that. For people that go to ministry, I skip out a little early some Sunday nights. But church has been my life. But it's also been my greatest weakness. It's been my greatest thorn in my side. I'll tell you a quick story, and then this will be kind of like my wrap up of my testimony. But throughout middle school and high school, I served on the tech team. I served at my churches. I'll get there an hour early. Like service starts at 9. I got there at 8 a.m. for rehearsal, for the praise team's rehearsal, to make sure all the PowerPoint slides were in there, make sure the preacher's lesson was in the PowerPoint, was in presented correctly. I got there an hour early. And I did that for years and years and years, up to my summer before my senior year. The summer before my senior year of high school, I went on a week-long camping trip out in Colorado, a trek. You ever heard of a trek before? We climbed Mount Columbia. It was a 14,000 foot. Made a lot of friends. Cried, sweat, blood. Slept in the same underwear for a week. It was miserable, but it was awesome. I would not trade that week for anything. But I would like to say the impact I had afterwards. During that week, part of like the bonding experience and part of like growing closer to these friends of mine was giving a testimony on the campfire. And we would have a campfire at night, we would cook our dinner, and we would say, just give our testimonies and what we're struggling with and where we were in our faith journey. And during when my night came around, I guess I should say some context for this. My dad went on the trip with me. My dad, looking for adult chaperones, he went with us. And I stayed in a different tent than he did, but yeah, he went with us, he was on this trip. And remember, my dad is an elder in the church, he's a deacon, very influential person. He's still an elder in the church, very much a leader in my church at home. So when I came to my testimony, I was saying like how much I serve in the church and how much I enjoy serving and how much I look forward to serving every week. But I said then, and I'm still say the same thing now, how much I get burnt out by my servanthood. I get burnt out because every single time I come to church, I feel like I'm checking off a box. If I don't check off that box, then I'm not a good Christian. And I was getting burnt out every week because I wasn't listening, I wasn't participating in worship. And I wasn't participating in singing songs on the pews below. I was up in the sound booth. I was flipping keynote slides. I was pressing the keyboard. I was mixing sound in the background. I was doing everything but actually participating and being encouraged by the worship. Unlike now, like tonight, I'm not in the back serving. I'm here in the front participating and singing. And my dad, after hearing me feel like burnt out in that testimony, we went back to Chattanooga. We flew back home. And he went to the director of IT, went to the director of technology, whatever the new schedules, the people you serve on Sunday mornings, and he basically blacklisted me. Basically to the point where I couldn't serve anymore in church. And I was extremely depressed. Like I went to church, I just sat there, and I didn't participate in worship either. I just kind of sat there on the pew, and I was just kind of like, I'm not doing anything. I felt worthless. I felt worthless being in church because I wasn't doing anything. And I realized then that I was putting too much of my identity in what I do and my actions instead of the gift of grace from Jesus. And now I have had to find that balance since coming to college of like, I still enjoy serving, and it's still my spiritual gifts is serving in the background, and setting up chairs and serving in church is still a gift of mine. But coming to that balance of still participating and being encouraged and being fed by worship and giving everything you can and being burnt out on Sunday mornings and Sunday nights. And it's been a real struggle with me in high school, and now it's still a struggle with me now. But it's coming to a point where balance is good. In like work-life balance, we talked about work-life balance in college all the time, about how much you spend like 8 hours a night working on homework, and you still need to have fun. I feel like the same thing happens to my spiritual life. I work so hard and I serve so hard that I'm not having fun. I'm not being fed by the worship itself. That's why I really like adding the instrument. I'll plug this a little bit. Like I love this instrument of worship because I get fed more by instrument of worship than I do acapella worship. Nothing bad with acapella worship. I just have a preference, and I get encouraged more and I get fed more by this. And not serving on tech can allow me to come up here and be fed and be encouraged, like all of you guys right here, is 10 times better than sitting back and pressing buttons. Even though that's still a great way to serve, and I still enjoy that. But yeah, if I could just sum up my testimony in 1 minute, like one sentence, is that like make sure you find balance in your spiritual life. Finding balance in both being encouraged by the worship setting and being fed by your community and by also serving. So thank you.
All right. Let me pray for Corbin. I said this in the first service. His story really resonated with me. I grew up in the church, and I was always serving as well. And then I even, like, my first big boy job after college was working for a church doing tech and stuff like that. And so I understand where he's coming from, sitting in the back, making sure you have the right camera angle, or like, you know, you're directing a service, making sure the slides are right and so forth. Is you don't get to participate in the worship. And so I appreciate him saying that. You know, there's, and I'm sure some of you resonate with that as well, doing kingdom work for God, but not feeling close to Him. And that's definitely, I'm thankful that God is working in his life to bring him, and has brought him out of that, and so that he can feel close to God. So let me pray. Father God, we just thank you for Corbin. We thank you for his heart. We thank you for his service. We thank you for his upbringing, that you put him in a situation that he was surrounded by faith, and that faith has fueled service for you. I pray that you continue pursuing Corbin and allowing him to find a balance of serving you, but also worshiping you as well, and drawing near to you and feeling close to you. Help him never to forget that that kingdom work for you is not a replacement for knowing you. And I pray that he continues to strive to get to know you, strive to get to love you more, and strive to become more like you. We thank you for his heart, his service here at the CSC and at college life and at the walk. And we thank you for him being the light on this campus to make you known here on UT's campus, Lord. We thank you for all that he does. We thank you for your son and his service to us.